Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a job that drains your soul, but you have no idea what else you're meant to do? What if I told you that there is a proven process to figure out your life purpose and turn it into a thriving 6 or 7 figure business? That's exactly what Erica Carrico helps people do. Erica is an award-winning soul business coach who went from corporate burnout to building a multi-million-dollar business doing what she loves.
I mean, I came from corporate myself, complete burnout, and I was miserable in my career and I was miserable in my marriage.
But what makes her story even more incredible? She built her business as a single mom and cancer survivor, proving that when you align with your purpose, anything is possible. Today, Erica is here to share her 28-day process that has helped thousands of entrepreneurs get crystal clear on their calling and build successful businesses around it. If you're ready to stop wondering what your purpose is and start living it, stay tuned because this episode is going to change the way that you think about work, business, and success.
I was diagnosed with kidney cancer, and it was like, wake up, it really took me hitting this you might die to make the switch. And so it's a balance for me. No matter what level I've been at, I've always had to work with my mindset and my limiting beliefs and my fear to make decisions really from a place of where I want to be as opposed to a place of where I've been in the past.
Welcome to The Creator's Adventure, where we interview creators from around the world hearing their stories about growing a business. Hey everyone, I'm Brian McAnulty, the founder of Heights Platform. Let's get into it. Hey Erica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
My first question for you is, what would you say is the biggest thing either that you did or you are doing that has helped you to achieve the freedom to do what you enjoy?
Wow, I would say, honestly, my business has grown from, like everybody's, zero to, I started at zero, and I guess now I have a multi-million-dollar company. And I think probably the biggest thing for me, I could go strategy for sure, but honestly, the biggest thing for me has been learning how to get out of my own way and work through my own fear and my own mind telling me what's possible and what's not.
I'm curious. I think that's a great answer, but I wonder if you could give, is there any relatively recent example you can think of where you realized to yourself, oh, I'm kind of in my own way here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is full transparency. I haven't actually even talked about this publicly. So I have been doing a marketing strategy that has really worked. I put it in place in 2020. It worked great, created, close to $5 million, I'd say, in my business. And we were just kind of flying, right? I had my team in place. It was working. My program was getting epic results. There wasn't much that I really needed to do. And so personally, I was going through a pretty challenging high conflict divorce, custody battles, all kinds of things. So I almost put my business on autopilot. And what happened in September was our ads essentially broke. We got a shadow ban on our social media, which was not anything that we had done, but like bots had just kind of detected the wrong thing. And everything just stopped working. So the strategy that we were putting in place wasn't working. My ads manager didn't know what to do because our ads had worked for 4 years. We didn't have to really change much. And all of a sudden Google hated our landing page. So Google wasn't showing our ads to people either. And I think I got in this space of, okay, well, we're just going to fix this. And I kind of was like in hope addict for a couple of months. And meanwhile, I was watching revenue go down. And we were earning $150,000 a month. Probably started slowly dropping down to more $120,000 a month. And then, down to $100,000 a month. And when we hit the $100,000 a month mark, I went into straight fear and straight panic. And I think my mindset and sort of my underlying scarcity patterns and coming from a place of growing up without money and with a single mom and never having enough and money always being a struggle my whole life, I went into this place of like complete meltdown and despair, back in November or December or whenever it was. And it was like, I was like, we're going under. The whole thing is, it's going to be done. We're going under. Nothing's working anymore. I need to fire my team. I have to pull everything back to the start. I'm going to end up like downtown Denver in a cardboard box. I'm going to lose my kids. I went down the rabbit hole of like, I'm going to, be homeless in a box in downtown Denver with no business and no kids and no home. And I have to really work through my own mind and my spiraling thoughts on a regular basis to like reprogram them into a place of being able to make decisions from reality, being able to make decisions from a place of like divine alignment, right? Being able to make decisions not from a place of fear or scarcity or lack, but truly of what is possible, what am I meant for, what is this lesson trying to teach me, what is this divine course correction trying to show me. And so it's a balance for me. No matter what level I've been at, I've always had to work with my mindset and my limiting beliefs and my fear to make decisions really from a place of where I want to be, as opposed to a place of where I've been in the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So would you mind to share like what was a decision that you feel has helped to shift that and like get you out of how you felt back in November?
I had to come back to spirituality. I had to come back, honestly, to a place of my why. Why did I actually start this business in the first place? And I started this business on the back end of being diagnosed with cancer and literally thinking I was going to die, and almost making a promise that no matter how much time I had left on this earth, I was going to use that to be of service and to use my gifts and my original medicine and to make impact in the world in the way that my soul is meant to make impact. And so I had to come back to the fact that I think as creatives, all of us feel in some way that we're a vessel, right? We're a channel. Like it's like we're here for whatever is meant to come through us is meant to come through us. And I had to come back to that knowing of I am here to make a difference. I am here to make an impact. I am here to be a vessel of the work that is meant to come through me. And there were a couple things in my business that I wasn't excited about and I wasn't loving anymore. And the interesting thing about all this is all of that has to shift in order for me to actually get to where I want to be. And that breaking in September was like divine guidance of this is happening for you, not to you, because we're going to move you out of where you're not actually meant to be and back smack into the place where you are.
Yeah, that's great. And I can relate to that myself of thinking about like times that were difficult and suddenly you go down the rabbit hole with everything. But it's been similar for me where I realized that going back to the why is what gives me the solution and helps me move forward with it. And I think as entrepreneurs and creators, like we're put in situations like that really cause us to like have to really think about everything of like, why are we doing this? What do we really want from this? And like, think about that on such a deep level that you wouldn't otherwise have to. And for me, whenever it's been tough with something, it always has been, okay, well, if I like didn't have to do anything like right now, what would I want to be doing? And a lot of times when I realize that some of those things, it's the same things that I am doing, then I kind of realize that the problems don't matter because I'm doing the thing that I enjoy. And I think if you can get to that point and find that thing for yourself, that it can not only make it possible to get through those moments, but also a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to. I've seen so many entrepreneurs build businesses, and I truly, the ones that I've really seen make it and thrive and continue to go is because that person had a higher calling, or they felt like it was part of their purpose in some way, shape, or form. And exactly what you said, they love doing it. And when you think about doing anything other than that, it's like, no, why would I, there's nothing else I'd really rather be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like myself, maybe I'm fortunate that I was kind of so obsessed of having to figure out like, well, what do I actually want to do? And what do I care about doing? And wanting to like reject anything that I didn't want to do. And I think some people are more likely to work on the thing and only come to that realization later. Whereas for me, for whatever reason, I felt like I like really had to figure that out. But I think it's been such a powerful thing for me because if I didn't, I don't think I'd be doing the same things that I am today. In a way. So I want to talk about more about this because I know that you have this 28-day process on helping people get clear on all of that. And I guess, so like, let's get into that now. I guess you've built a multi-million-dollar business and while being a single mom and overcoming cancer, as you mentioned, And so what would you say like those experiences help teach you about the purpose, and like how do you now pass that on to clients?
Yeah, I think, well, what I learned over the years, and I actually started my business as a life purpose coach, and then kind of just it morphed over the years. But our purpose is, I think, a combination of a couple of things. So, one, what are you naturally good at? What are your divine gifts, right? What are skill sets that you can really build upon and expand upon that are going to move you forward? And the second piece is what do you really love to do? What most people, I think, as adults that I've spoken to, they don't actually know. Like it's amazing how many people you ask to create a list of 5 things you love doing and they get stuck after 1 or 2. Or they don't even know. They can't even put anything down because they're like, I don't do anything that I love. It's like my whole life is a to-do list. So really getting people to connect back to what do you love to do? And sometimes we even have to go back into childhood, right? How did you spend your time as a child? What did you love to do as a child? How did you spend your time playing? What activities were you involved in? What brought you joy? And once we know what those 2 things are, we have a good idea of what our natural skill sets are and what we love to do. How can we then combine those 2 things to create something that is going to give back to the world or add value to the world? And I truly think that that's really what our purpose is in a simplified way, I suppose.
Yeah. I think for me that's been helpful too, to make sure to frame it of like how can we give value to the world.
Yeah.
And one of the people that impacted me on that, and I should really talk to him again because I think he still lives in the same city as I do now, but was John Kolko, and he wrote this book actually called Problems Worth Solving. And he talked to me about how when you're going to pursue some kind of problem, it should be a problem that's actually worth solving. And that you should think about like the business that you're trying to start or what you're trying to do through that lens, because there's a lot of like you can do almost anything to make money. There's so many ways that you can make money with all these different kinds of businesses. And I think when you're a new entrepreneur, you hear about one of those ways and you're like, oh, well, this is it. This is the way. Right. And the reality is there is a way to do it with the things that you enjoy and with a way that's going to positively impact people. And that's one of the reasons that I love the coaching and course and community space, because it's usually so built on that you're providing a service or offering a product that's going to actually make a positive impact on people's lives. And once you get past a certain level, to actually feel motivated in your business, it's kind of got to be about something where you feel you're making a positive impact.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, and it's like, for me, there would be no other way I could do this. Cause it's like when you hit challenges, not if, right? When you hit challenges, truly just like last September, the only thing that got me through that really was remembering that this is why I'm here. This is why I'm here, is to have this impact. And I think also at a certain level in our business, right? Like when you're earning $100,000 a month or $150,000 a month, you're less profitable than you were in the very beginning. You have a team, you have overhead, you have a lot more stress and a lot more responsibilities. Like I have $80,000 to $100,000 a month going out. That's a whole load on my shoulders that I didn't have in the beginning. And so you have to really look at, well, at this point, it's not about the money. What is it about, right? I think at this point, it is about impact. And if it were about the money, I mean, I wouldn't want to grow past where I'm at. But to me, that's not, it's the impact. It's the wanting to help people around the world to live their purpose, to help them get their work out there so that they can have the impact they're meant to have, right? So that's what it's about for me. And I think every entrepreneur is going to face times in their business where you have to remember why you're doing this. And if it's not for impact, I guess in my world, like what are we doing?
Yeah. So going back here, if you could go back to the moment that you decided to quit your corporate job, what advice would you give yourself then?
I would have given myself the advice to do it 10 years earlier and start my business 10 years before I actually did, but everybody talked me out of it. and told me that I needed to, be responsible and have a real job. And I was getting married and having kids, and everybody was like, yeah, you can't be a coach. Are you crazy? Like, yeah, do that in your free time and don't use any family money to do that. But go get a real job. And, I would have definitely told myself to do it when I had initially thought I wanted to start my business, which was 10 years before I actually did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's often that you may as an entrepreneur hear other people kind of say, "Oh, that doesn't sound like the right idea to go and do that." What do you think are the biggest misconceptions people have about like finding their purpose, and how does your approach kind of help break through those myths?
Yeah, well, well, actually, I think the two biggest myths are, one, I don't have time to find my purpose. I don't have time to do that, right? Like, life is busy. I've got kids, I've got a family, I've got a job. So I don't have time is the first one. And I think the second one is that they just don't think they're special for some reason. Like, they see their gifts as so normal that they don't even actually see them as gifts. I think that's what I see the most, is that people don't actually look at themselves as having a gift to bring to the world, and they think, well, everybody else is already doing that, or this could be mine, but there's so many people out there doing it, I'll never be able to do it as well as them, or there's no room for me in that space. And yeah, that's honestly just a BS.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. I had a thought recently, which it might seem not extreme, but the way I position it, I guess, like, there's no intention to ever offend anybody, but the idea that sometimes I've noticed, like, somebody has a product or something they get really successful with, and people are kind of like angry or making excuses to that person of why they're successful with that product. Say like, oh, well, you just happen to have a following and that's why, or you just did this. And sometimes I think what it actually is that, especially if they see somebody like that, it appears to them as if it was easy for the person to
Right.
share that and be putting that out. It's a combination of the feeling from seeing that person just feeling so comfortable to just put something out there and just do something. And at the same time, like, it appears almost as if the person doesn't even like want the success in a way, because they're just doing it. Like, there's no, like, there doesn't seem like there's a hidden motive behind it, but they're just doing it, and then suddenly they're successful with it. And so it's the feeling that when you see somebody else like that, and it's almost that not only are like they just doing it, but it seems like they don't want it, but they still want it more than you.
Yeah.
And that's a very like difficult thing to kind of deal with as somebody who's not at the point that you're at, where you feel like, well, how can this person be succeeding when I want to have this, but they have it? Because the reality is, actually, they do want it more than you, because they are doing it. And I think it's a way to describe that, like, you can just go and try things. There is time that you can find, for example, like you said, that you can go and work on the things that you want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, two things come up to me. One, usually when someone's feeling that way, they're comparing their beginning to somebody else's middle, right? Like, if someone is just starting and they're comparing themselves to me and my business, it's like, well, you haven't seen the 8 years that I've put into this, or you haven't seen the beginning 2 or 3 years, or the beginning first year where I earned 22,000 in a whole year, right? Like, people don't see, they compare themselves at the beginning to your middle. And I did that too when I was starting. I compared myself to people who were 10 years ahead of me, and it's like, that's ridiculous. That doesn't, you can't do that to yourself. And then two, I have watched a lot of my colleagues who I started businesses alongside drop off, and most of them are not in business anymore. I think out of the initial program that I went in for coaching, there were 75 of us, and there might be 5 or 6 of us that are actually coaching still. And I think the only difference is they eventually quit and I didn't. Every time I fell down or failed at something, and there have been so many times where I failed at things, I get back up and I keep going and I figure it out and I move through it and I course correct and I shift, and literally I just don't quit. And I think somebody told me that very early on. The difference between those who make it and those who don't are they just quit. And if you don't quit, you'll make it.
Yeah, I would say, like, the extension almost of find something that you enjoy doing, find something that is going to make a positive impact on people, and then keep doing it. Just keep doing it. So like if for so many cases, if you can find something that there's just a way that you can continue doing it, eventually you'll reach that success. Because from like whether even trying to consciously learn or not, you'll go through the process so long that you will become an expert and you will get better. Yeah. And I think often for a lot of people, like that's kind of the challenge. Like, how can you find a way to at least make this sustainable for yourself that you can just continue doing it and you'll grow from there?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's like from spiritual law, if you look at it from that perspective too, if this is what you're meant to do and you have that desire, then you take those inspired steps and that inspired action, and it's going to work. It has to work, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So with your 28-day process, can you kind of walk us through some of the main steps in that process and how it works?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. So it's really around getting clear on how do you want to express your purpose in the world, right? I think I always say our purpose is kind of like an onion. There's so many different layers to it, and we only really know our purpose to the extent that we know ourselves, and we're constantly growing, evolving, and we're constantly peeling off our own layers. And the deeper that we get to know ourselves, the deeper we get to understand our purpose. But the first main steps I take people through, and actually I have a course right now that I've always had a course since 2018, but I have a book that's coming out this spring just about this 28-day process. So I'm super excited about that. But essentially it's what I talked a little bit about before is getting clear on, what you really love to do, what your divine gifts are, and then how can you combine those two to create value in the world. And I think from there, it's making a decision to choose, right? Like, I think so many people are like, well, I could do this, or I could do this, or which is wrong, or which is right. And they sit in the space of trying to figure it out or think their way through it, or what could this be, or how could this look? And they don't actually start. They don't do anything. So it's like, you have to then make a choice of, here's where I'm going to start because this is where I am today. And I'm going to take action towards that, right? I'm going to get moving. I'm going to get going. I'm going to start the business. I'm going to do the thing and allow that to evolve. Know that in a year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, your business will look very different. And what you're doing then probably won't be what you're doing now, but you have to start somewhere. And most people don't actually take the step to get started. Most people will, maybe they'll make a decision, but they'll build their website, and they'll take the course, or they'll get the certification. And then when it comes time to put themselves out there and try and go get clients, they freeze and they're like, nope, can't do it. I need to go get certified in this first. Or actually, wait a minute, my website needs a total overhaul, because that, they stay in that space of wanting to create instead of making that leap to go from consumer to mentor, to teacher, to guide, to coach, to creator. And yeah, the 28-day process then is about taking those initial steps and making it go.
Yeah, that sounds great. Because that's, as you started introducing it, the first thing I was going to say, well, like, how do you get people who are kind of just stuck thinking about it and, oh, well, I am going to change, or maybe I should do it this way. And they don't really take that action. And if it helps to share, like, for me, when I started in my business, the way that it looks now is completely different than when I first started it. I started as like a graphic designer, then kind of web design, and did all kinds of like work like that for clients. I tried out like all kinds of different things of e-commerce and digital products and other things. Then like realized I like building software and like web applications specifically. And like through all these things for like 15 years now, that's what has led to me building Heights Platform and what I have today. And if I just waited, said, I'm going to think about this for a really long time, I wouldn't have ended up with the thing that I built today. I built this today because I was able to keep doing those different things and learn like, oh, actually, I don't like this part of this, or yes, I do like this thing. And that's what let me go forward. So you do constantly evolve. And I think you evolve quicker and you can make all those realizations faster actually by taking the action.
Yeah, because then you learn what you love and what you don't love. You learn what you're good at and what you're not good at, and yeah, you're constantly figuring it out. Just get messy is what I say. just get messy with it, be uncomfortable, being uncomfortable, and progress over perfection. And I used to just have this visualization of like, my hands were just in the mud, my hands were just in the mud. This is messy. This is going to be hard. This might suck a little bit, but eventually I'm going to figure it out. And you fumble your way through the first couple of years. But I think by year 3, if you're consistent, you start to see some traction and you start to figure it out a little bit. And a lot of people have a lot of success. I think I had a 6-figure year my second year. And it just flew from there. So.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So you've helped thousands of entrepreneurs now transition from like these unfulfilling careers to their dream businesses.
Yeah.
I'm curious if there's like any popular choices of like businesses people tend to start after working with you, or if there's any like businesses that have like surprised you after somebody's worked with you.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, most of the people, they come out and they want to do something. Well, so it's interesting. Most of them want to do something that is obviously going to have an impact, right? So they usually go into the service-based space, because my approach is kind of a spiritual approach, and then turning like your purpose into profit. So most come out wanting to have some kind of an impact. And usually it's because of their story or where they've been, or because of different traumatic events that have happened in their lives, right? And I think a lot of times that gives meaning to what we've been through as humans, is to be able to now go and help other people through whatever that experience might be. So I think the majority of people end up doing that kind of thing in some way, shape, or form. It looks different. Coaching to, we've had people go and get, become naturopathic doctors. We've had them become NLP practitioners, therapists. Just whatever. It's always it's different and really fun to see what people come out with. I think what has surprised me the most is that a lot of people have actually come out of the process and they realize that some of them even realize that they want to stay in their job, and it was like a perception of how they were perceiving their work and their corporate career. And a lot of people decide that they can align their career with a new mindset and a shift of perspective more with their purpose. And they come out wanting to stay in their career, but they choose to do like volunteer work, or they choose to start something like a not-for-profit. So they don't actually want to monetize their purpose. They stay in their job, but they use their purpose as a way to have impact, but in a more voluntary aspect, which always kind of surprised me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I can totally see like that being the right choice for some people.
Yeah.
For people who are then considering to leave that stable job and have the fear around it, how would you help them address that fear? And especially if they have like what you're saying, of like friends and relatives saying, oh, maybe you just do that on the side. No, you shouldn't really like put time into that. Or
yeah. Well, we all feel it. Did you have corporate job before you moved into your business?
I did not. For me, it was, I didn't even go to college. And so for me, it was everyone telling me, Brian, why aren't you going to college? What are you doing with your life?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, I came from corporate myself, complete burnout. I honestly think that a lot of me knowing that I was here for so much more, me knowing that I had this work that I was meant to share with the world, I was holding it in and stuffing it in, and I was miserable in my career, and I was miserable in my marriage. I hated where I lived. Like, it was this whole thing, and I was diagnosed with kidney cancer, and it was like, wake up, it really took me hitting this you might die to make the switch. And I think we all face fear. And the biggest thing that I hear is, I need the certainty of a paycheck. I need to have the benefits. I need the 401k. I have a family to support. I have a mortgage to pay. I have to pay my bills. I have to be responsible. And I get that. There's no one saying that there's no one saying that you have to just up and leave and start your business and have no money coming in, right? Do it wisely. Like, so many people, I couldn't afford to just quit my job and move into my business full time and not earn money for a year. So I did it on the side. And, every night after my kids went to bed, I had a baby that I was nursing. I had a toddler at the time. I was recovering from cancer. I did not have a supportive husband. And so, I was working full time. And so when my kids went to bed, from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, that was when I started building my business. And on weekends, on Sundays from like I don't know, it might have been like 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. That was when I built my business. And so I was able to start bringing in clients, start bringing in some cash flow. And by the year mark, I had replaced my income in my career. And so I was able to let go of that career and not even have a lapse. And some people, you know, like if you're a higher earner and you're earning like 250,000 a year or whatever in your corporate career, it's going to be a little different for you. But I always say, great, get your savings to a point where you have a comfortable savings, get your business to where you're at least earning half of what your corporate salary is. And most people can take the jump then. Most people feel confident because then once they quit their job, they have all that extra time to then pour into their business. It's already working at that point. It's just a little bit of a scale strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really great advice, and definitely like having a family and a kid and a job already, like that is so much to deal with, both in terms of time that's taken up from that and responsibilities and things that you have to provide for. But I think it's a great point that you made, and how you explain that you did it through like those times on the weekend or at night. And what I think people maybe miss or underestimate is that how much you can actually get done in a short time. And like most likely at the corporate job, like there's meetings and there's all these like silly little things where you're not actually like being productive towards a specific thing. But when you're building your own business, you don't have to have any meetings with anybody or anything. You can just say, okay, I need to get these things done. And like what you can accomplish in like, if you're able to give yourself just a couple hours of focused work, it's, I think like most people would be surprised what they can actually accomplish in that time.
I totally agree. My whole strategy is built around build your business to 6 figures in less than 10 hours a week. Because if you're focused on the needle moving revenue generating activities and you're letting go of all of the other stuff, like you will start earning money. And I say that 10 hours a week because you can absolutely build a 6-figure business in 10 hours a week. Like it doesn't take a lot of time. And I think so many people, and I did this in the beginning too. I was like, wow, I need to be once I finally quit my job, I turned into an employee almost. I was like so used to sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day that I came into my own business and I was sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And half that time I was not doing anything that was going to matter. I would have been better off out hiking and doing something fun for myself. Right. And then just really focused on those small hours of needle moving revenue generating activities. And once I sort of realized that and made that shift, my business, I think I hit the 750,000 a year mark, and I was working so much less than I ever would have worked in corporate because I was so focused on what was going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point too. And I think I would encourage anybody as well, if you feel like you've been maybe working on your website for too long, or like your logo or things like this, try to find a way to become comfortable with being uncomfortable about it not being perfect to you yet, and realize that like most likely like there are so many other things that you don't even realize that are definitely not perfect in your business, that you're probably not delivering on well through like the client experience or your marketing or something else. And become okay with all of that, and then just work on, like you're saying, the things that are going to actually make an impact and make you money. And then you may even realize later on still that the website actually wasn't as important as you thought it was, or the logo or whatever it was. And I have loved to see, like through our platform, course creators who had that realization and like had it early enough, or just were able to not care about certain things like that, that have been really successful. Because what I say is like you need one of the three things, like your marketing, like your branding, or your product. And like if you have a great product but like maybe your like website looks bad or whatever, like you can still be really successful. Or if you've got great marketing but your product still needs some work, you can still probably get customers. And one of my favorite examples is this customer that was using our platform, and like their first year they built a 6-figure business, and inside his platform, like you can change the logo at the top left to whatever logo you want, or your business name or whatever. He never changed it. It says Heights still. It's like the default like platform branding, but like he's able to change it. And I remember our support team, and like we even reached out to him and they said, hey, like you can change something, you can upload a logo or something. And like he didn't even have a logo, but he was delivering this excellent product to people, and he built a 6-figure business in a year because of that. And so like it's not that he was like trying to like scam people or something like this. It was like a health type course, I believe, as well. And so like being able to become comfortable with not worrying about certain things like that can definitely help you focus on what's important to grow the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's hilarious. And also so true. I've seen people come into my courses and they're so stuck. They'll spend 6 weeks, behind the scenes and not reach out to us. And they're like, I've been struggling with my logo, same kind of thing. And they'll ask me, how did you ever create one? And I'm like, I've never had a logo. I don't have a logo today. I don't have one. It's just never been important to me. So yeah, I don't have a logo.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it helps anyone watching or listening to this, for some background on myself, because I did really care about this. Like, I'm a designer. That's where my background is from. And the way I learned to get myself out of that was through a bunch of experiences over my career, like working with clients and things like that. But one story, very short story in particular, that stood out was when I was building my first web application as my own product. There was it was like this kind of like goal tracking app, and it had the input where you add your goal at the top. And I spent so long trying to make the shadows and everything like perfect on that input. And then I finally show this to a designer on my team, and I have him try it out, and he says, Brian, I can't find where to add the goal. I can't find where to add that. He couldn't even see it. Like, he didn't realize where it was in the interface. And so I realized all the time I spent on like the shadows and all the gradients and everything, it had to be completely moved anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good example of like giving yourself the flexibility to be able to just move forward and try different things, because sometimes the thing that you're perfecting is actually like not the right direction at all.
1,000,000%. Yes. Welcome to being an entrepreneur.
So I think many of our listeners are like creative entrepreneurs. They're looking to like find the next step in building a business that feels fulfilling. What's one challenge that you would kind of give to them or suggest that they can take on this week to kind of give them a taste of like your 28-day process?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would say create a list of 5 to 10 people that you can reach out to. Who can you reach out to that maybe they're not even in a place, not even from a place of, oh, I'm going to sell this person into my service or whatever. Not from that kind of a place, but literally making 5 to 10 reach outs of, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's this new business direction I'm taking, or here's this business that I'm starting. Here's what I'm doing. Here's who it's for. Do you know anybody that might be interested in this? And just saying like, who do you know? Do you know someone? And even getting in that space of energy and momentum and doing private reach outs and invitations creates so much, I think it just creates so much forward movement that other things then start to fall into place. You're starting to plant those seeds that maybe if they don't pay off right now in those initial reach outs, they'll pay off later, and other things will start to flow as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's a good exercise. And so one of the things we like to do on the show is also have each of our guests ask a question to the audience. So if you could ask our audience anything, whether it's something you're curious about or just kind of want to get everybody thinking about, what would that be?
Well, I know we talked about this before, and I think it's changed. You said that it probably would. I think I would like to know what is your purpose? Why are you here? What are your divine gifts? And how are you going to utilize those to, one, create value in the world, and have impact, but also give you the vehicle to create true financial freedom for yourself? So what is your purpose and why are you here? What's your mission?
Awesome. And Erica, thanks so much for coming on the show. Before we get going, where else can people find you online?
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah. So my website is just ericacarrico.com, and there's a free video training on there where you can hear the strategy that I take people through to build their business to 6 figures. You can find me on Instagram, lots of free trainings on YouTube. Just Google me and I'm pretty much, it'll all pop up.
Awesome. Erica, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been so great.